Being a high Renaissance painter, sculptor, fine artist period must have sucked if you were living in the high Renaissance era. I know, I probably sound crazy, because when I said the high Renaissance era, the first thing that probably came into your mind is the magnificent works of Leonardo da Vinci, Raphael, and Michelangelo. But the truth of the matter is, they probably hated the era they were living in as fine artists. First and foremost, let's talk about freedom. Because if you're a fine artist living in a high Renaissance era, what is freedom? You don't have freedom. Artistic freedom was basically non existent. You were basically a puppy for the church, a puppy for the patron. They had you on a strict leash, and you had to abide by their strict guidelines on what they wanted you to paint. Oh, no, no, no. It's not about what you want to paint. It's about what I want you to paint. And if you don't do it, you're going to face some harsh consequences. But this is the thing, man. Even if you loyally and faithfully painted everything that your patrons wanted you to paint, you could still potentially face backlash. For example, Michelangelo. Before the Protestant Reformation happened, a lot of his paintings were praised and people loved them. And a lot of them showcased nudity, and nudity symbolized beauty before the Protestant Reformation. It was in to paint nudes. It was the thing. But then after the Protestant Reformation, everybody hated his paintings. They hated that he had nudes in his paintings. They were inappropriate. They were deemed disgusting, unholy. And now everybody hates you, and you're no longer looked at as this artistic genius, but instead as this unholy, inappropriate weirdo. So the High Renaissance era was a very fickle era. One day they loved you, the next day your art was considered creepy. Additionally, if you wanted to make the big bucks as a fine artist in the High Renaissance era, you would have to take on large-scale projects like the Sistine Chapel by Michelangelo. That man, just by completing the Sistine Chapel, that man had so many years cut off from his life, from all of the toxic and unhealthy pigments he was smelling for hours upon hours a day working on that thing, and also the way he worked on it physically. Some articles say he painted it while he was laying on his back. Some articles say he was painting it while standing and had to look upwards for 12 hours a day. Either way, it would have sucked painting large-scale projects in the High Renaissance era. And also, if my memory serves me well, he faced temporary blindness later in his life because of these projects. So the money isn't even worth it, bro. Your neck is like this for 12 hours a day. You're raising your arm up 12 hours a day, painting on the ceiling, inhaling these toxic pigments. It's no, just no. Being financially stable was a rarity in this time. I mean, a lot of fine artists were highly dependent on their patrons, on popes, on churches for money, and sometimes they didn't pull through. So like you don't have a consistent income either. Lastly, there were a lot of wars and battles going on in the High Renaissance era, like the sacking of Rome. So you had to temporarily leave your projects, which means you're not making money, which means that your paintings or your artworks that you spent so much time on could potentially be destroyed by invaders. Yeah. Being a fine artist in the High Renaissance era would have sucked.